Jack in the Back texted me this week, and he says, I want to talk NBA on the pod this week, which around here you got to request because I think it's a bore fest. Really do. We're going to go to Jack in the Back. What do you want to talk about in the NBA, Jackie boy? LeBron's not retiring, by the way, too. That's just overblown. But
yeah, I was going to lead off with that. A lot has changed since I sent that text just because of how the playoffs have shifted. Obviously, everybody's clamoring at the fact that LeBron said his future is uncertain. I think that's more of the fact that I think he might just be getting out of LA more so than the fact that he is retiring. He's told multiple people he wants to play at Bronny. He said 45. He wants to get to that Brady type age. LeBron's not retiring. And just his ego, he would not leave without a farewell tour. Even if next year was his last year, like he's not the type of guy who's just gonna walk away. And again, he wants to play at Bronny, who's about to be entering his freshman year at USC. I could see him on the move. I mean, LA is gonna have a lot of depth next year. They're gonna be able to bring pretty much everybody back. They'll have some more draft picks to trade. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with that. I just like this fact that the NBA was pushing so heavily for big market teams, talking all about this Lakers Celtics rivalry reignited in the finals, and now we're about to get Miami Heat, Denver Nuggets. Any basketball fan wants 10 times more. I mean, both these teams are so much fun. I just think the biggest story of this postseason is how players that have been hyped up so much by the media, none of them have made it far in the final besides LeBron getting, and the teams that did, they got embarrassed. LeBron got embarrassed, Jason Tatum got embarrassed, Joel Embiid and James Harden all got embarrassed in the postseason. Now you're left with Jimmy Butler, who was on the cusp of elimination right at the start of the playoffs. They lost the first play-in game. They looked dead in the water, and now here they are going to win finals. I mean, I think they had like a 3% chance to beat the Celtics, and it's just going to be a really fun finals. I think, Colin, you would enjoy it. It's two brands of basketball that I think
I'm
you
watching.
really enjoy, and I know you say, oh, it's after the second rounds when I start to tune in. I don't know if you have tuned in yet. I highly doubt that you have, but it's going to be must-watch basketball.
I hear you. No, it's good points. And then I'll go to Mick because Mick's jumping out of his seat. I know he's an NBA guy. Are you recovered, Mick, from the Sixers debauchery?
I'm not necessarily recovered. I take it to heart. I am a diehard Philly sports guy, but just watching Jokic, is that how you pronounce that guy's name? Jokic. I'm not a huge outside of Philadelphia basketball guy, but just watching that guy and just seeing the it factor, like he has it. Him and Jimmy Buckets right now have the it factor. And without that type of quality, you're not going to go the distance. And Joel Embiid, unfortunately, Jack, just did not have it. I just was listening to SportsCenter and listening to LeBron James and his take on his future. You know, he's got so much pull in this league, and it does make sense what he says. He's not going to play unless he has or at least he's playing with a contender. And you know, the older you get, the harder it becomes. Although I will say, for everything that guy's been through, he looked healthy, man. Like in game 4, he looked healthy as a clam. I thought he could have rose up there at the end of the game and hit that 3 for the win and kept himself in it. But for the most part, my take is that, yeah, this is over. I'm glad it's quickly, becoming a 4-0 on each side. Jokic and Butler have the it factor, and those two are going to battle it out for the chip.
Yeah, and I'll keep it going and talk about the Sixers here. As anybody watching on YouTube, Colin's going on like a mini adventure. I don't know what's going on here, but I mean, talking about the Sixers, it's going to be interesting to see what they do this year. I talked about it on Twitter. This team, they need a massive shakeup, and I think this team knows it. From a pure, I guarantee you, if there wasn't a financial ramification of moving him, I would highly believe the Sixers would consider trading Embiid just for the fact they are dead in the water. But I think the plan they have here, it's going to be interesting. Next year, they're going to have Tobias Harris's contract off the books. Tyrese Maxey, I believe, will be a restricted free agent because his 4-year contract will be up next year. James Harden, obviously, will be off the books. Even if he picked up his player option, he's not going to get a 4-year max from Philly. They will have draft picks back. They're able to trade. They aren't able to trade any picks right now because of the James Harden deal and stipend rules. I would expect the Sixers make a heavy push next year and just punt this year because they have no other option. All they have coming in is $12 million in mid-level exceptions. And if Harden walks, unless you get a sign and trade, if you're lucky from Houston, you're not going to be able to get anything from that. You're going to still be negative in cap space, so you can't go chase a Levine or somebody in free agency. So they could be good in 2 years, but I mean, that's the best case scenario for this team right now. It is not looking good. And I mean, Harden, I would not blame Harden walking to Houston for that much money. I mean, that's $200 million. Nobody else would give him more than 130, 140. Daryl Morey, he might get flack for letting him walk, but I feel like everybody would side with him instead of giving at that point, it would end up being a 38-year-old James Harden, like $60-some million would be how the contract would shake out.
He's already not a high effort player. And my apologies, there are some Wi-Fi issues. He's already not like a high effort player. And if you're not like the older you get and you're not a high effort guy, optically, it looks worse and worse and worse. Those turnovers become less manageable. I don't know. There's no way. I mean, again, I didn't watch a ton, so I'm not going to sit here and say, but like just optically, you can't resign. You can't do that. You can't handcuff the franchise over James Harden. Is a team that could, if James Harden's at his best, are they guaranteed to win? Are they a top 2 team in the league? Top 3?
Jack, whatever you're saying, by the way, I read something along the lines, the same thing with Crossing Broad. I think Kyle was preaching it. They can't announce that because honestly, if they continue to go down this, we're going to trust the process and punt for a couple of years. Now we're going to trust the procedure and just kind of do a little quick fix. Like if we keep announcing that, we're just going to continue to be the laughing stock of the NBA. Do not record that, Colin, because I get my, but at the end of the day, like just make a couple changes. I'm glad that Harden did opt out. We still have Embiid. He needs somebody to complement him a little bit better. Does he have the it factor though at the end of the day? And he might not, man. If he can't get back past the second round, then it might be time to trade him.
Yeah, I mean, Embiid is out of excuses by far, but I mean, in terms of the situation the Sixers are stuck in, Daryl Morey should not get a single ounce of blame for this. He turned in a player who was virtually unplayable for the last 2-3 years into an all-star player. James Harden, as much as he's not worth the contract he's going to be getting, he's a hell of a lot better than whatever Ben Simmons has been. And
Sure.
You gave up 2 late first-round picks for another season and a half of contention when instead you could be walking here with a player half the caliber of James Harden if you traded him like elsewhere for a Buddy Hield combination. I mean, I don't know what else Daryl Morey could have done to put this team in a better position.
Jack, I got a question. So here's my thought when I saw LeBron James, like, I don't know about my future. Do you think, he is an ego guy, like you said. Is this whole thing like just a scam to say, oh, let's avoid the fact that we just got swept 4-0? Like, nobody's talking about like Lakers got swept, right? Everybody's talking about LeBron's thing about walking away. Like, is this just let's get the eyes off of the fact that we got swept and let me talk about something else?
I think it would have the reverse effect, to be honest. And one of the big talking points is there's been more talk about how bad the Lakers are than how good the Nuggets have been. They have been getting clowned. I think it's more of a fact that LeBron just I think it was a very nothing quote. I think it's just like we got to reevaluate, see what's going on, take it from there. It's just like you hear any NFL player say post-game press conference. It's LeBron, and the media say, "Oh my God, LeBron might retire." So they pull half a second of a quote. They've done it for years with Embiid and Doc Rivers. Like Embiid had a whole press conference where he says, "I'm the star player. I take the blame. I'm the first one to get the thing." And like he says like 5 minutes of that, and then one part is like, "James and I need more help." And they just pull that nothing else, and they blow it up. So that's why I think it's the situation. I don't think LeBron is really trying. He knows he got embarrassed. He knows it's going to get thrown in his face for the next 5-6 months until they step on the court again. I don't think it was anything really alluding to retirement. If anything, switching teams because he's a 1-year deal left on his contract.
Is my mic better here, guys? Checking back in. We're back. So, no, it's interesting, too. Like, I was watching Cowherd before I jumped on, and he's like, LeBron's a very strategic player, like, with the media. He didn't just – there's a plan for everything.
He doesn't just say anything just to say it.
No. So there's a plan behind it. And I always tell people what really sucks, I think, for fans is I believe about 10% of what you hear and see on TV. The problem is people really put that as the truth. But the stuff that happens behind closed doors, and it's not like it's all bad or all good or real dramatic. It's just like it's 10%, 20% of what you're seeing on TV is actually the discussions that you're aware of. So